Now, some people do like to use specific ritualistic items such as white sage or incense to clear negative energies from particular rooms. I am all for you using white sage or incense to do this. If you're going to use white sage or incense, please do it carefully. If you're using white sage, I actually want to show you how I personally do this, because often I don't actually have my larger bundle here. Often, hold on, I'm going to go and find my larger bundle so I can show you. Now, white sage is an excellent plant medicine to be used for dispelling and dispersing heavy energies, and I use it in my shamanic practice on people and within people's spaces when there is something to be lifted out of the space that is out of place. The best kinds I've always bought from California in the USA. It is traditionally used by Native Americans, and as I was wanting to share with you, this is what a bundle of sage looks like. And sometimes you can get smaller ones, and people will literally light the end and they will go around their house or outside. Now, one thing I want to share with you is how I do it, which is, I think, the safest, easiest way to use them. So firstly, sometimes I will buy, this one was actually from Tree Harvest and it came from California, and I will usually open one of these, and what I will do, I'll pop it in a second little bag which will break up all of the pieces, and what I will end up with is smaller ones of white sage. Now, what I'm going to show you next is when I've got little pieces like this, sometimes I will literally, and I want to say here, you don't, in our Western culture, we often think that more is better. More is not better. Sometimes you just need a small amount. When we're creating sacred space, we often don't need to completely smoke out the house. And anyway, the reasons why I'm sharing this video with you is so that anyone can create sacred space, particularly if you're the one receiving shamanic healing or energy healing. You're not the one who is doing the healing work. And so this is really as an inspiration to support you and for ideas of ways that you can start very gently engaging with your own healing journey. So back to sage. Let me grab my pot for you. So to light your sage, and to be aware that, you know, some people actually their lungs and their chest cannot handle white sage. It's a smoky plant medicine to be using in and around your space, so it's not for everyone. And I do want to make it very clear that this is not the one and only way of cleansing your space, and I will get to that in a second. So this is my pot. This is my pot that I'm sure you could probably use this for baking some kind of very delicious dessert. For me, you'll see it has the remnants of many ceremonies in there. And, you know, you might be laughing at the fact that sometimes I use literally the tiniest little piece of white sage, but the fact is I really want to hammer home here, you don't need to use the whole bundle. And also what I'm going to show you, it's the safest and most wonderful way of using this so that you don't have any ash pieces dropping on the floor. It's safe. It's much safer in terms of fire. So what you will want to do is you grab your candle. For me, I have my candle lit in here. You're going to light it. Yeah. And you're simply going to drop it. Let it burn for a bit. Drop it. And as you can see, there you have some sage smoking. Now for me, and obviously this is not anything that you need particularly, you can use your hand to waft. I use my my crow feather, and so this will be a case of wafting it wherever you need it to be. And so, you know, all of us, none of us really need tools like this. However, as I work as a shamanic practitioner, I have built that bridge and relationship to the tools that I do use. And so they have great meaning for me when I'm using, for instance, white sage to be burning to clear. So here is some for you. And, you know, you can simply let that pot burn. And because there's hardly anything in there, it will burn out on its own. And this, I might add, is a thick, solid ceramic pot. And it has been built for cooking. And so, therefore, it will never get that hot with a tiny piece of sage in there. However, that is one of my most favourite ways of using sage to clear, and you will go around your sacred space, even to the very corners of your room, even on the ceiling. Often people will be wafting around the ground area, the chairs, under the table, but we forget that there's still a ceiling and there are corners. So don't forget any of those spaces underneath the chairs, underneath the tables, in the very corners. If you can possibly get there, or at least reach your arm up, let that smoke rise. Now, when you are using white sage, please open the windows. It allows for the spirit of white sage to do its work, to gather up those energies and to take it out, to work with the element of air and to bring its medicine back into harmony. So what you don't want to be doing is just maintaining that smoky atmosphere whilst the medicine of white sage is doing its work. It needs to be released out of the home. And as I say, do not underestimate the power of dusting or cleaning or hoovering your room. If you're unable to do anything like incense or white sage or anything like this, clean your room. If that's the very least you do, it is one way of actually giving back to the space that you live in. You know, we take for granted the spaces that we dwell in. They hold space for us so well, keeping us warm, protected. And, you know, when we allow our spaces to get decluttered, we are not only disrespecting ourselves, but we're disrespecting our space. And of course, there are many reasons why we allow that to happen. But cleaning is a very good way. Second to that, there are other ways of cleansing our space that doesn't need smoke or flame. And again, my personal belief is that you do not need to be a shamanic practitioner, a sound practitioner. You simply need to be human and with the right intention in your heart. And so you may wish to use your voice. You know, sit down quietly first in the space that you are creating that is sacred to you. And you may wish to simply say a prayer out loud. Please help me cleanse this space of any energies that are out of place. Allow them to find their rightful place. Please help this space be cleansed. Now, in voicing this, one thing I do know is that when we ask for help, we do receive it, and we just simply may be unaware of the actual gifts that we're having. Now, after you have spoken these words, you may wish to use your voice through singing. If you're uncomfortable singing, then maybe this is not the method for you. But I encourage you to give it a go. You may wish to sing into the corners of your room. You may wish to sing to the space that you are resting within, yeah? Singing in any key, you know, allowing simple sounds to come out of you with the intention of clearing and cleansing that space. I assure you, even though you may not consciously be aware or be able to see with your own eyes, I can guarantee your energy will be impacting the space around you. Now, as an alternative, if you have got your own instruments or sound instruments, you may wish to use, for instance, let me grab my tinctures. If you have some tinctures, these are also very good for cleansing a space. And the idea would be that you gently, very, very gently, these aren't to be bashed together, very gently move around the room and simply let the sound do its work. Again, with the heart's intention to cleanse and ground the space. Really, you can choose any method. There are no rules to this. What is important is that your heart holds the intention that you wish to see in the space around you, that you wish to experience. So it comes from here.